Wow.
And you're live. Okay, that camera is way better than the old one.
A lot more clear.
That's a much better camera. Holy cow. All right. Yeah, you can see every dimple and everything on my face and scars and all kinds of stuff. All right, so if you hadn't figured out from the title, we're testing out a new webcam. So basically what happened is John and I announced that we were going to do live streams this winter, and then the camera died. And finances were not there to buy a camera until recently. So we ordered up a new camera. We're going to try to do some lives through the rest of this winter. A lot of people ask why we don't do lives all year. And the reason being is because live streams, after about, I don't know, I'd say about 2 months or so,
Yeah.
they become repetitive. So everybody comes in basically with the same questions repetitively for about 2 to 3 months. And so at about the 3-month mark, it's nice to take a break. So we're going to try and run a set of lives every other weekend or every weekend, probably until the snow goes away. And I'm not sure why the first comment is capital E. We do have slow mode on, which basically means you can write a comment once a minute, because unfortunately, when you run live streams, you end up with the spamming idiot, and it just stops the spamming idiot from trying to fill the entire screen with messages. So, yeah. And like every good live stream, you have to start off with some sort of argument so that people can get in the comment section later after this post. So Jesse says the argument for this live stream is spaghetti sandwiches. I think that only crazy psycho people eat spaghetti sandwiches, and therefore Jesse eats spaghetti sandwiches. The most horrifying thing is that now she wants to try putting a spaghetti sandwich and cooking it in my waffle iron, and I have told her that the answer is hell no.
That's why I haven't done it in your waffle iron. I'm gonna buy my own.
Okay, so camera test number 2. Could you hear Jesse talking in the background? Because this is supposed to be one of those audio whatever type things where the camera edits out background noise and stuff like that. When we pre-tested it, it could pick up that Jesse was over in the kitchen monkeying around, but it didn't pick up the diesel heater going chug, chug, chug in the background. So we're testing it. Oh, you know what? I had the chat system set to top chat accidentally because YouTube. Okay, it didn't matter because nobody's commented yet because we haven't done a live stream in so long. But anyways, all right. Let's see, Robert. Hi there. How's everyone feeling up there in Maine? Sickness is running through the house. Luckily for me, I have avoided getting it far. Knock on wood. Yeah, you know what happens to me every single 2 weeks before Christmas? This one gets sick and he brings it home, or Jessie gets sick, she brings it home. I take care of everybody else, and then Christmas hits and I'm sick. And I just finally have started to get over being sick from them bringing everything home. Making monkeys now? What the hell is what is making monkeys now? Is that a spaghetti sandwich reference?
You said I was monkeying around in the kitchen.
Oh, okay.
Jesus Christ. Wow, I'm sorry, person. He's stupid.
So yeah, okay. So yeah. So my bad. Yes, Jesse monkeys around. And Jethro is definitely at the monkey stage. He climbs up on everything and stuff like that. Can you guys hear Jesse in the background, but not the diesel heater? Because that's what we figured during our testing we were doing off live stream. Yeah, somebody says that they want to try one of those sandwiches. Yeah, okay. Well, we know who gets the band hammer later. What?
Who wants to try a sandwich?
I don't know. Some guy named Randy.
Oh, cool.
Jeez.
I don't know.
Oh. Hi. And as always, we've got to have the fact that we're drinking something for a live stream. I don't know why people like to find out what you're drinking during live stream. It's instant Folgers at 6 p.m. in the afternoon. That way everybody can tell me that they wouldn't sleep if they drank coffee this late in the afternoon. And Jesse's having Bengal spice. We grind up tigers to make tea. And I don't know. It's the box has a tiger on it. They must grind up tigers to make the tea. Apparently, that's a dad joke I'm not allowed to make anymore.
Evil man.
Let's see. Trevor says camera looks great. Mic sounds little like you're underwater, though. See, that seems to be the quibble with all of these webcams is you got one way or the other. You basically got a really good microphone, and I'm doing the hand waving off screen because we're getting used to this thing. You either got really good microphone or you got really good video, and then YouTube makes it a big giant pain to use an alternative mic because the system automatically defaults to attempting to use the mic on the camera. And we tried using an external mic a few years ago, and the stupid system kept defaulting to the mic on the webcam, even though we told it to use the other mic. And I think that's the reason why a lot of streamers that do this all the time use alternative software to do the streaming.
How long does a live stay on the system?
It stays on forever unless I delete it.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, live videos get posted and they stay up forever unless I delete them. And I usually only delete them if they, for some reason, end up degrading or something, or they're just totally worthless. But noise blanking mics and cameras all have weird underwater sound to them. See, I agree. And that's part of the reason why I don't run noise canceling mics when we're filming videos for YouTube, because I don't know. Maybe John's got some input into this idea. I like to hear what's actually going on around people when they're filming. Like, what do you think, John?
I guess it depends on the spot. Like, if they're doing some filming like Times Square, I guess having the mic would be better. But then if you're just in the car driving and stuff and it's like a hot rod, I guess would be a lot better to have the all-around sounds.
Yeah, that's true. But the other thing that I've noticed is that when you have the cancellation whatever on, that if we do something that has to do with like loud exhaust, then the stupid noise cancellation will manage to screw up the next talking section. Like, that's one thing we figured out with the pro video mode on our current camera, is that you have to film you talking as you're coming up to the car, to film the car making car noises, to then film the next clip of you talking about the car, because if you filmed all three as one clip, then the noise cancellation audio whatever thing garbles either the two on the end or the one in the center. And that's why on RCG Racing, the end of the video takes, I bet John and I probably do anywhere from 5 to 6 of those because somebody starts an engine.
Yeah, we'll just be filming and whatnot, trying to do an intro, and then we'll hear like our neighbor on the side turn on their engine that had like straight pipe exhaust.
And then it'll cause the audio, whatever thing to wig the hell out. And so we don't even review those clips anymore. We just immediately resign ourselves to shooting another one. I think we had one drag racing video. It was like 8 retakes. Yeah,
it was terrible.
And the thing is even on like the 8th retake, we had a guy drive by and rev literally just as we were starting to finish it. And so the whole end of that clip is just destroyed audio wise. But we were on the 8th take, and we were so tired that we just said screw it and we ran it. The real reality is anybody who hits the end of one of those videos, they're watching it because they're just bored at that point anyway. Oh, let me see.
Hi, Isaac. Oh no, you just said sub.
All kinds of writing on the screen. What does John respond to? Suck. The 6-7 generation does not do syllables very well. What's that? It's got words? Screw responding to that one. Okay. Do. Makes echo areas annoying. Oh, I got you. Yeah. Yeah, there's like a fine line, especially in the camera that we're running right now. There's like this weird thing that happens where if we film in the garage, it rarely screws up the audio. But the moment we step outside and it has to deal with birds chirping, you would think that it dropped a nuke on it. It just goes totally wonky. It hates birds chirping, and it hates like car noises in the background make it wig out also. I don't know. Overcomplicated cameras suck. I don't know why that is.
Big boy chose big words.
Oh, what the hell was the word I used earlier that you looked at me like I was stupid because you had no clue what it meant? Exacerbate. Apparently the word exacerbate is too complicated for the 13-year-old.
Mad about mud mowers? Mowers. Our day is going pretty good. We just got done with 2 videos today. Well, no, technically 3 because I got done with the video on my channel.
Yeah, John's doing pretty good on trying to figure out his rhythm for doing his videos and stuff. Getting consistent. But the word would be work or chores. Actually, John's really good about work, and he's really good about chores. So is Jethro. Jethro is really good about knowing when it's time to shut up and work. A 2-year-old that understands it's get shit done time is rare.
Jethro, you want to come over here? No? Okay, bye.
Jethro, are you under the table playing peekaboo?
No.
Oh, okay.
Buddy, you want to come over here?
Yeah, Jethro's at the peekaboo stage. He thinks he's the king turd of Poop Mountain playing peekaboo.
You want to say hi? No?
I'm making homemade baffle. Baffle. Oh,
baffle.
I'm making a homemade baffle for my Craftsman GT. Cool.
Good luck.
Yeah. Exhaust systems are getting to the point I've literally debated multiple times doing my own exhaust system like setups, because at this point you can get 3-inch pipe really cheap, and you can get 1 1/4 pipe really cheap. And with laser cutting as cheap as it is through SendCut Send, you could literally order 3-inch exhaust pipe, 1 1/4 exhaust pipe, and then laser cut parts and make your own mufflers for just about everything at this point with baffles and everything. I've debated it multiple times. We get to the point we're out of this house and we've moved on somewhere else. I might decide to do that as a build video at some point, because I think that would be a really good YouTube, like, you can do it too type video. If we put out, like, if you order this particular 3-inch pipe off Amazon, you order this particular 1 1/4 pipe off of Amazon, and here's your set of files for ordering baffles off SendCut Send. I think that would be really good as a video, and it would be really helpful for people to be able to make their own exhaust, because I don't know about you guys as builders, but I'm finding exhaust has become one of the most aggravating things to be able to buy an alternative for nowadays.
Hi, Johnny. We're doing good. He said hello, family, and
we've upgraded to 5 syllables now. We're doing good. The educational system is expanding. Getting poop done may mean something else to a 2-year-old. I bleep you not. Jethro runs on licorice every 2 weeks. That's how his number 2 works. Is he goes about 3 to 4 days of being overly concentrating, and so we buy him licorice and it clears the system out. And it works like clockwork. Cinnamon licorice from Tractor Supply totally cleans out a toddler. It's about 48 hours. All of a sudden, the piss starts to smell like Jesse's Bengal spiced tea, and then all of a sudden, the giant poops come out.
Hey, leave my tea alone. It does not smell like my tea.
That's
Dirt.
totally smells like Jesse's tea.
No, it don't.
Were you talking about mouth poops when I was a little kid?
Well, if we're getting on that topic, you didn't have any problems. No. Yeah, we're talking about you and your lack of poopitis. Hi. Yeah, John's always acted above his age. So John's 13 going on acting like a 15-year-old debating how stupid high school is and he wants a real job. John's one of those kids that understands that high school is just some sort of social dynamic class that means nothing, and he wants out in a real job.
I got the big boy right here. Do you see yourself?
Can you wave at yourself?
Can you wave?
There you go.
Oh, do you want something to drink? Okay. Do you want milk? Okay, let's go get milk.
Let's see. Isaac, are you all still doing the drag racing? Okay, Isaac. So here's the deal. The way the drag racing versus us and our housing situation is working out, we're only going to build up what we know that in a hurry we can throw on a trailer and go drop off at a friend's house in the case that we get the chance to liquidate this house. So the goal at this point is leave what we built already stored away, take the Oxy Earth we're working on now, build it up, go do a few drag racing videos with that, because we want to do a few things that we learned from the last Oxy Earth and see if it makes a difference on the drag strip. And the go-kart build, I actually will probably talk about the go-karts in the next go-kart video that I'll be working on either this week or next week, because we've run into an issue with the go-karts that the conversion that we want to do to run bigger tires in order to actually make them go a decent speed is going to cost way more to do than we were originally planning on. It's not that we're not going to do it. It's more that we may only decide to do it to one cart, and we might liquidate another cart to be able to pay for the cost of doing it. And speaking of which, if you are in Maine and you have an interest in the Pennzoil body, I will liquidate and sell you that insanely overpriced, expensive Pennzoil fiberglass body for $100. If you want to email me, set up a time to come get it, I will help you load it in the truck and you can have the damn thing. We want to build out the red body on the chassis that the Pennzoil body is on. So if you want it and you are in Maine, I will sell it dirt cheap, $100. I'll even help you load it. I just need it to be gone so that we can have the yard clean for selling this house. It's one thing to have one or two rolling projects. It's another thing to have something that looks as if it's a dilapidated project nobody cares about. And that's going to be the theme going through this summer at this point until we sell this house and move somewhere else. Let's see. So, hey, Jesse, I've been accused of changing out your tea for a more organic version provided by Jethro. She says that is a very ooh, and not in a good way. Thanks for getting me in trouble, man. Oh, let's see.
He doesn't make his wife or boyfriend tea.
Let's see. High school to me is useless. I dropped out at 16 and makes $300,000 a year fixing small engines and installing fencing with my company. I don't doubt it. I know plenty of guys that got out of high school early and run businesses and stuff like that. I mean, there's nothing in high school at this point that actually like teaches you anything for real world life. I mean, home ec is gone. Shop class is pretty much dead. You're not allowed to take an automotive class until you're in your junior and senior year. Like the carpentry classes at the tech centers up here, you're not allowed to go into until your junior or senior year. Like the whole system is programmed to force you to stay in until graduation, instead of just deciding you've had enough of it and move on, which is weird because in my generation, and probably in yours, you were allowed to just plain move on and get out of high school at 16, like you said. Let's see. Ontario, Canada. I'm always amazed at how many people from Canada follow me. I don't know whether you guys just get bored up there and need something to do because you have more snow than we do, but I'm glad to have all of you Canucks hanging around. Let me see. Y'all should run a LT1000 or similar with a 6 to a 2.5 V-twin down the drag strip. Mine will run about 35 or more in about 6 seconds. Okay, so first of all, I have run machines exactly like you're describing. And here's the one thing I will tell you about going to a real drag strip. you won't survive. Your mower will probably get about 2 to 3 hits before the real drag strip traction absolutely decimates and blows your transaxle right through the bottom of the machine. They actually used to race mowers at the drag strip that I now run the mini bikes at. And that was the reason why they stopped, was because they were running like 65 miles per hour, but they were only getting about 3 to 4 hits before they would explode a transmission on the drag strip. So when I ran the Sears dragster, the only reason they allowed me to run the Sears dragster was because I had 1 1/4 inch axles and could show the fact that it was a GT grade transmission in it, and that it had a bull gear that was like the size of a Ford Ranger. And so that's the reason why they allowed me to run, even though they had discontinued others running for years. As far as on dirt, I've done that too. There's actually several machines that are one machine is a 10 to a 3, and then there's another machine that is a 750cc that 735cc that's running an 8 to a 3. And I've run both of those machines also. We actually used to run a machine that was an 8 to a 3 with a 27 horsepower Kohler with open air filter, bored out carburetor, and dual open header exhaust that did 55 miles per hour in 300 feet. So yeah, I've been there. I've done it. It's scary at that kind of pace. Do. I'm in Florida. That explains the fencing company being profitable. That's one of those things up here in Maine. Everybody at some point has tried to start a fencing company and failed up here in Maine. You can go on Marketplace up here and literally buy out a fencing company worth of fencing on Marketplace all year long. Somebody always thinks they're going to be the next money maker with that idea. Roofing's another one. Up here in Maine, everybody thinks they're going to do a metal roofing business and make bank. Those roll out metal roofing, whatever type things, where like you buy the infinite roll of metal and it crimps it as it comes out the rear of the trailer and stuff. I bet if I went on Marketplace and I bet if I looked it up, I'd find at least 5 of those for sale here in Maine right now. Let me see here. Hi from Texas. That's another one we get a bunch of people following from. I'm not quite sure why we get so many people from Texas. We get a ton from Florida, a ton from Texas. Vermont makes sense because there's a lot of off-roading like what we do in Vermont and stuff, and their tractor flipping season is about the same, and what kind of tractors that they get down there. Plus the type of auto repair that I do, we get a lot of people that are in the Rust Belt because they know that I deal with it and I'm honest about the repair. So I get a lot of people from the Rust Belt that follow. But yeah, Texas, Canada, and Vermont and areas like that, and Florida for some reason with the mud mower guys. Yeah. Let me see.
I mean, wow. Ohio is pretty far.
Yeah. I love the speed. So I'll tell you the key with the speed. So with the mowers, the key is you cut the front end and you set it at 8 degrees. At 8 degrees, the moment you clear about 25 to 30 miles per hour, the mower literally just locks in and aims at whatever it was pointed at. That's the real key to going fast on a mower. You can put all kinds of engines on, you can put all kinds of other stuff on the mowers. At about 35, they become death traps. You angle the front end by 8 degrees, all of a sudden you can go as fast as you damn well want. It's just a matter of when the transmission decides that it's had enough of your life. Let me see here. I'm in Ohio. Okay, what do we got here? Okay. I have a Coleman CT200EX, and I'm in the process of putting a motor on it. However, I'm trying to figure out how to get the clutch to work. I bought a 5/8 clutch for a 208. Oh, you must be a 208cc Troy-Bilt flex motor. Trying to get the clutch to work. I'm not quite sure what your question there is. I mean, basically all you do is just take the clutch off of the, you just measure the shaft and order the clutch that fits. I don't quite understand what your question is. Maybe you can clarify the question in a sec, because I mean, if you have a 5/8 shaft, you order a 5/8 clutch. If you have a 3/4, you order a 3/4. And if you have a 1-inch, you order a 1-inch. And if you have a 20 millimeter, like the 3 horsepower diesel is concerned, you go on AliExpress and you wait 2 weeks and you order a clutch. Actually, I've noticed there's been some 20 millimeters starting to show up on Amazon the last couple of years. Texas watches to see people suffer in the cold snow. You know what? I think you're actually right, because I have noticed comments like that. Yeah, getting the snow fix without having to deal with it. I agree.
Here, buddy.
Michigan's another weird state where you guys have rolling hill off-road a lot more than we do. Your off-road scene there is woody like ours, but it's a lot more rolling hill. I don't know. I find Michigan off-road videos both cool and impressive, but at the same time not. Like the hill climb videos there are something we couldn't do in Maine. Let's see. No, skip the ad. No, YouTube. You do not need to put an ad in the middle of my live stream. Where the hell did that come from? What YouTube stupidity was that? Okay, guys, I apologize. If anybody has been forced to watch an ad while watching this live stream, that was not me. That was some sort of YouTube thing that I'm now going to have to go headhunting for and kill for the next one. Okay, no, we will not do live streams that have ads. That is stupid. What dummy at YouTube came up with that stupid thing? If the live streamer wants a break, they can drink a cup of coffee or something and read. Holy cow. Okay. YouTube means stupidity. Yes. There are days. Although YouTube has started to go and use its own demonetization glitch in order to kill AI. So right now, even though that glitch has managed to cost me about $75,000 in the last 6 years, I'm okay with it, because if they manage to kill enough of the AI that my income comes back up, I'm okay with that.
Well, you know, so the YouTube stupid thing, there's all these live streams on YouTube Shorts where it's like, I stumbled across one of them where it was this girl, like, and then it was like Roblox playing and stuff, and like you'll see people in the chat being like, "Whoa!" and whatnot, and like all her interaction is.
Yeah.
And you click on her channel to see if this is like something that she normally does, and the whole thing is just her in different outfits, like, and she's only posted like 3 videos and stuff, and it's just like so weird.
Yeah. If YouTube Shorts got deleted, I'd be okay with it. As far as I am concerned, TikTok is TikTok, and YouTube should have just tried to stay YouTube. And I understand why they tried to go after Twitch. Going after Twitch to a certain extent makes sense, but they really should have just never tried to go after TikTok. It totally screwed everything up. There was a question here. Where was it? Have you seen any of the Kohler Magnum opposed twins in 8.5 in your area? So to answer your question, I've actually there's a Boland's video that's on my channel that has one of those. Yeah. I believe it's a Boland's, I'm pretty sure. I remember white and green on the tractor, which is usually Boland's. We don't see those very often here in Maine if they get left outside, because the Magnum actually has a timing rod that runs across the inside of the engine, and the cover on one end where the what am I trying to think of? The little doohickey that goes spark, 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 and I know somebody that's in their 60s is about to comment that I'm an idiot, it's a blank, a blank. But anyways, so the distributor side of it is on one side, and there's a rod on the other, and the cork gasket that's over the points, thank you, you score with points. The point side gasket is usually made out of cork, and ice and snow actually eats through it, fills that, and then rusts the rod in place. And if you kick over one of those engines with that rod rusted in place, it literally screws the whole engine. And so we don't see those up here in Maine, because if they sit and they rust, if you take that points cap off and you see rust inside of there, you're done. That's the end of it. The engine most likely is screwed. But yeah, so that's, have I worked on them? Yes. Is there any videos of me working on them? I think the Boland's video is the only one. And actually, the irony is usually I make fun of those, and that engine's actually still alive. It's at a friend's house, and the other day it actually helped us haul something out of his backyard. So as much as I make fun of those, ironically, the last one I worked on is actually still alive to this day. Let's see. Do you make money off of my views even though I'm sub to premium? Okay, so here's the basic gist of how premium works. Do I make money off of premium? To answer it that much of the question, the answer is yes. Do I make as much off of you on premium as I do a regular viewer? The answer is no. Actually, the way that premium works is, so YouTube basically levels out as a per 1,000 view system. And so the low end of per 1,000 view is usually about $2.50. The higher end in general of per 1,000 for your average lower level YouTube $6.50. So that's the reason why I usually quote most things at $4 per 1,000, because that tends to be the running average for the most part for somebody at my level. So the premium, the way the premium works out, it basically pays at about $3 to $3.50 per 1,000. YouTube actually refuses to give us all the information when it comes to how premium pays, but based on the information that they do give, we have figured out that it's about $3 to $3.25 on average that premium pays. Now, YouTube also scales premium. So YouTube knows that the advertisement coming in through January, let's say, is crap. They don't get paid very well, so therefore I don't get paid very well. So your premium during summertime or during, say, Christmas time would pay me about $3.50 to $4. During January, when advertisement scales down, they also scale premium down, and I only make about maybe $1.50 to $2 per 1,000 views. And that's the reason why in January, a lot of YouTubers will switch over to yearly roundup or my greatest hits or some other review type video or rework video or something like that, because actually making a real video becomes not worth it from basically about January 1st. There's like about 2 weeks before Valentine's Day, that ad comes back up. And then from Valentine's Day until probably about January, February, March, probably about March 25th or so, advertisement is just crap. So that's part of the reason why we do the types of builds we do during the winter time, where we kind of run around the garage and see what we got for spare parts, because it's actually not worth me buying parts to make videos for about 2.5 months. Let's see. Okay, so now we got a couple of people chiming in to tell me that it's points, and I should have remembered points. I don't know why it just didn't stick in my head. I've been working on small engines since I was 5 when I'm 21 now, so I've just about seen it all. You think you've seen it all. That's not meant as being offensive. That's you think you've seen it all. Trust me. I've been doing this and documenting stuff on YouTube for going on 12 to 13 years. What are we at? 13, 14 years? I don't know. Somewhere around there. 14? Yeah. I've been documenting and covering small engine repair. And I was actually doing small engine repair for almost about 4 to 5 years before I started showing it on YouTube. And so, yeah, you think you've seen it all. You wait. I guarantee you will find stuff that every once in a while that you're like, how in the world did this not happen before? Wait till you see a Kohler entirely snap itself in half, because Kohler knows that there's a defect in the single cylinders, that the 3 bolts that are underneath the starter gear will actually back themselves off, catch the starter gear, and snap the whole front of the Kohler off. Most of the time, you only see a crack. But you will someday see a Kohler that entirely snapped its entire snout off. I've seen one so far, and the guy wouldn't let me film when I was in his junkyard, so that irritated me, and still is a sore subject. Let's see. I like my vertical Magnum a lot. A lot of people like the vertical Magnums. You just don't see them up here in Maine. Basically, the Rust Belt kills anything that's over 20 years old. And that's part of the reason why my stuff has evolved, and I now have a different buying group of machines than I used to have. Yes, thank you for being a member. I appreciate it. You know, every little bit helps. It adds up over time. You know, every membership is basically half of a can of brake cleaner in my shop. You see me using brake cleaner, you bought half of it. And Patreon's the same way. I don't have very many people that are on the Patreon, but it literally pays exactly enough for us to have heat in the garage every winter. And that's why I always bring it up in video and say thank you to everybody. Let's see. Yeah. Courages are interesting for sure. Yeah, in the racing group, we say you have to have courage to run one. But I made one that turned 6,400 RPM in a racing mower that did laps for hours and hours. In fact, John even drove it a couple of laps. And that engine is still alive today with stock internals, and a guy that I traded it to actually revived the engine, and as far as I know is still running it around his yard to this day. He's been playing with it for like 3 months now. So, you know, if you remove the governor out of them and you make sure to lock tight the snot out of those 3 screws that 3 bolts that we talked about, they work pretty good. You can do a bunch of things with them. The one thing they will totally fight back on is oil changes. The moment you miss an oil change on one of those, it'll decide to decimate itself. All right, what do you want to show?
So I have a question for you guys. I've been working on this 4-link suspension setup for a rock crawling monster truck that I've been working on for my channel. I have a big problem with the steering up here because the Legos have this looseness inside of them, which end up in situations like this. So if it wasn't so loose because of the Legos and its molding and whatnot, it would work perfectly. But I need some kind of... Yeah, I know, I need a haircut, Steve.
Actually, this is anti ear infection hair. Up here in Maine, like you'll see I've got my scruff, even though I can't grow a beard worth snot. I wear a hat all the time because it stops ear infections, and John grows his hair out. It's up here, you'll see it. A lot of old school guys will grow their hair out just like John's to stop ear infections. Uh-oh. You want to come up here? Uh-oh. Oh, maybe mommy can touch the TV and fix it.
But so that link keeps on popping out. So it's a 4-link suspension setup, which just has solid axles in the rear and then portal axles to dumb down the gear ratio so that it can be able to have the torque to.
Now this is not currently on your YouTube channel.
This is not.
Okay, this is a work in progress.
It also has 4-wheel drive.
You have to do the shameless YouTuber plug. My YouTube channel is John's Ideas, with a really outdated photo of John and Jethro that I've been bugging him to replace. So please, do me a favor, go to John's Ideas and tell him to replace his stupid profile photo, because it looks dumb.
I know, it's pretty horrendous.
Ad inserted. Why, YouTube? Why did you insert an ad? I'm sorry, guys. If you saw an advertisement, I have nothing to do with it. YouTube, I'm going to have to go through headhunting.
But so you can see the linkages down here. So we got the 2 linkages on the bottom. Then we have these linkages. Oh, wrong linkages. Then we have these 2 linkages right here. Now with the Legos and stuff, I'm trying not to customize them or anything, so I can't cut them to fit or anything. So the top linkage actually has a axle on the top, so that when the suspension travels up, it can actually have the linkage go inside of it and out and whatnot, just like the drive shaft.
I'd like to point out the comment section says John has death wobble on a Lego truck. How many times has Dad said if you could manage to put some caster in, you would stop having death wobble on your vehicles?
He's a teenager. He knows everything.
Jesse says he's a teenager. He knows everything. I think it's just that he's not cool enough and doesn't have good enough skills to figure out how to put caster in. That's what I think. I think you just don't have the capabilities.
Well, I mean, It's a lot more work than you think it is.
Sure.
Oh, that's
Remember how earlier in the chat we talked about death wobble on a racing mower because you didn't
Yeah.
have the 8 degrees of caster in the front? I bet if you scaled the size of your Lego creation to scale mile per hour, I bet your death wobble in the front is probably at about 30 miles per hour.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And that's part of the reason why Jeep Cherokees actually get death wobble so easily. So the reason why a Jeep Cherokee gets death wobble is because when the bushings wear out, it actually starts to torque the front steering axle. And Jeep Cherokee, in a good setup with brand spanking new bushings, only has about 6 degrees of caster because it was designed for off-road to do slow maneuvering. So it only has about 6 degrees. So therefore, if you blow the bushings and your axle twists, all of a sudden you only have about 2 to 4 degrees of caster, and that's where the death wobble in Jeeps comes from.
Yeah. Yeah. So I need help on trying to figure out a way to make it steer good. Because steering is necessary.
Would you like to know the story on why my beard looks like mange? If you look at my beard, you'll clearly see that I grow nothing on one side and I grow most of it on the other side. When I was about a little bit older than John, I was burning a bunch of garbage in a wood stove in the back of my dad's garage. And I don't know what was in that. I don't know what was in the garbage, but at some point I went to open up the door, and right across the side of my face, all of a sudden it let out a breath of fire and burnt everything clear into the skin. And that's the reason why my face grows so weird, is because I lost all of what I started with facial hair in one big fire breath out of that wood stove. You can actually see it in my mustache. If I get it right there, you can see from there over.
Oh wow.
It grows different. Yeah. So that's because I got burnt so bad across my face that it actually doesn't grow to this day. We're talking like 30, 40 years later.
I thought you were just ugly.
Yeah. 25 years later, and it still won't grow back. Tighten the steering to where you can barely steer and no more death wobble. That's not how Legos work. You don't get to tighten it up.
Yeah, so I'm using Lego Technics, which the way that they work is that there are 2 different ways to connect them. A axle hole, the axle, and then pin connections. I need a pin. There we go. And then pin connections where the beam has holes where you can stick pins, and then you can stick other beams onto to make it and whatnot. And then also you got the other prior one with the axle hole, the axle, and it works. And pretty much your only adjustment is one pinhole to the other pinhole to the other pinhole, and you can't really get a in between or slightly higher and whatnot without modifying it, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
The only way that I know that you could do that is by either using Lego linear actuators, which would add more weight, more space, and then also the linear actuators don't have that much. They can also crack and stuff if you put too much pressure on them, going in or out too.
Didn't you also say the linear actuator costs like 3 to 4 times as much to use or something or other? Wasn't it more expensive or something?
If we're talking real linear actuators off of Lego, they're like you have to buy them off of a set, and then you also could do like a third-party way of buying them off like eBay and whatnot, or buying them off of other websites. But that's just a lot of hassle. You can also buy fake ones. Like I have a couple from Amazon, which work pretty great. All the pin connections work perfectly fine, but to buy them off of Amazon, even though they're fake, they're like $5 a piece or something like that. But yeah.
Okay.
But
Are they slower than the system that you use now, or about the same turn speed?
From my research, pretty much they're the same.
Okay.
Just one's a knockoff and one's an on. Also, most Lego knockoffs on Amazon, if we're talking strictly pieces, where like you'll see just like this whole lineup of like beams and stuff, and you'll see like different size beams and whatnot on Amazon. So most of those listings, they're actually not that bad of quality. You're just spending money on the fake Legos, which are cheaper. Like this is a fake power function remote control that I got off Amazon. The tires on that build right beside me are fake. The portal axles are fake and whatnot. They work perfectly fine, just fake Lego and cheaper.
To point out the 3D printer comment, so we actually got rid of the 3D printer when we were trying to sell the house last year. And as much as it kills me not having the 3D printer. You have no idea how often I am just like, oh, I'll just go in and design. Never mind, I can't design anything anymore because I don't have a 3D printer. We want to get back into doing the 3D printer stuff. We had a lot of people that really appreciated that we open sourced as much of the 3D printing as we did. So trust me, the moment we get resolved into another location, as soon as I possibly can, I will be back into doing a 3D printer. Engine stuff with the 3D printer and helpful tools around the garage that actually are helpful and not your usual stupid influencer tiki-talk junk that they want to go and try and get you to buy and stuff. I have tried really hard, like when we had the laser cutter, when we had the 3D printer, when we've had any of that stuff, I have gone out of my way to try very hard to keep it to real use that actually people would use it for instead of the usual hyped up dumb influencer stuff.
Yeah, like those 3D printed chain dragons or whatever.
Yeah. Or the supposed organizer wall things where every influencer is there and they got a couple of screwdrivers and they got a couple of very light things up on their 3D printed organizer wall, but they don't have a single actual heavy item on the wall because you know damn well it would snap things over time. That I don't know. That's part of my irritation with YouTube nowadays is that it's a lot of hype train with very little actual real world usage anymore.
Yeah. Also the UV from the sun and stuff and damaging the plastic.
Yeah, the PLA gets brittle over time if there's even remotely any sun on it. And so eventually stuff breaks if it gets the sun and stuff. But yeah, we want to get back into 3D printing on tons of different projects. It's just 3D printing is an anchor down item, and we can't do anchor down items right now. As it is, if the laser cutter that I have was actually worth anything in resale, I probably would get rid of it and call it good. But the funny thing is they sent us that laser cutter and then literally proceeded over the course of the next like 3 months to come out with two upgraded versions and a third variant. And so the one that I have is actually 4 models behind now, even though it's only a year old. And so by today's standards, it's literally worthless. So laser cutters, the moment they're a year old, are just paperweights and hobby items at that point. All right. Well, I think we're going to call that a night. This has been our first rework on trying to do a live stream. Like I said earlier in the live stream, we're probably going to work on the idea of doing one of these like once a weekend or once every other weekend. The other thing is John is starting his wrestling season. And usually John does his wrestling and then he comes home and then he turns into a sloth that hides in his room. And then eventually maybe I get an hour or two worth of him being worth talking to. So I've got to share that hour or two with you guys somehow. So we might just do live streams so that John doesn't have to go and try and use his muscles when they're all worn out. Because we ran into that last year with John during wrestling. He would go to pick items up in the garage and all I would hear is, my arms. Yeah, it was like having a 12-year-old going on 82. Yeah, we won't get into the whole wrestling side of medals and all of that kind of stuff because I was state championship of my wrestling. John does wrestling because it's good exercise, and if he wins, he wins. We're not holding anything to him as far as whether he does or doesn't win.
Such a fun.
Yeah, John does wrestling because it's wintertime exercise. He doesn't do it because he's the greatest or whatever. And that's okay. I'm not out to go and sit there and be that psycho parent that's on the, oh God, yeah. Last year we had one of those psycho parents on the sideline that was like screaming at their kid about everything and whatever. And we don't need that. We don't need to do that. John can go do his wrestling. He can get his exercise. He can enjoy hanging out with his friends. And if it works out and he wins a few, cool. I'm okay with that. And as long as he's having fun, that's all I care. No, skip the ad. Go away. No, skip the ad. Holy cow, YouTube. That was like the 5th one. What in the world are you doing? 5 ads in an hour. Thanks a lot, YouTube. Okay. Anyways, so at that point, I guess we should say bye-bye.
Bye.